Jason Salas.
All right, Hafa Day, and welcome back, everybody. I'm Jason Salas, and this is Time Out, our continuing series at a look at the Guamanian athlete, and I am joined by a good friend of mine tonight, somebody who is making his name in our little island community here as Mr. Football. And you know, there have been many, many people in our island who've contributed to the sport, but one person who has done so a lot in the past few years is Jacob Dowdell. Now, Jacob, you, of course, are the coach of the Guam High Panthers. You
yes, sir.
Won the IIAG title a few years ago.
Yes.
You've also served as administrator of the Women's League, which was very successful.
I have.
And you're a former quarterback and then player coach of the now defunct DOCOMO Chargers. Now, of course, they're the Chargers.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've done so much on football here in the island. Let me ask you first, you're from Georgia.
Yes,
what brought
sir.
you out to the island, and where does that passion for football come from?
I'm actually from the great state of Georgia.
All right, of course.
Yeah, the great state of Georgia.
Thank you.
My grandma taught me to say it that way. So my passion for football, you know, in Georgia there are two sports. You choose from the two. There's football and there's football. And so, you know, I made a choice very early on. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, diehard Steelers fan. Just love football, love the camaraderie and the team spirit involved in playing football. There are so many little things that have to go right for one play to go off. And then when you combine that with the effort and spirit of brotherhood and in some cases sisterhood now that's needed to win a game, there's nothing more exhilarating than that. And so I'm a football addict.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've been involved, as I said, on the island with, you coach young men and people that are at high school level, and you've played along with and coach guys who are well into their 40s.
Yes.
What are some of the differences and some of the challenges in dealing with people in that mindset and, like having their body types and, still developing, or guys who have, been playing the game for a long time, and what challenges do they present?
I think each individual group, starting with the young ones first, you have to develop a passion for the game because I have the saying, love always wins. And it's not just in my regular job as a school teacher, but love always wins in football. If you get a young child, boy or girl, and light a fire in them and mentor them towards the game, they're younger, still developing in their bodies, and they're lanky. Some of them are a little lanky. But it's important to me to develop that passion in them. Then that middle group, the high schoolers, the ones that I'm dealing with now. Big shout out to the Guam High Panthers. We just won over in Japan for the first time. So when we get into that middle group, there is a lot of community involvement that goes into that. You see the team on the field, but you don't see the Mama Browns, the Mama Jacobs, who are behind the scenes, Miss Horvath, Miss Burpo, who are putting the water together, making sure we have the pregame meal and things like that. And then when we go out on the field, we represent those people. And I'll make sure our young men knew that. And they know that daily when they go out, not just on the field, but in the classroom. So you kind of transcend football and you move over into what it represents and how you represent your district and things like that. And that representation goes a long way towards the adult game. We had a chance to call some games with you last year, and it's just so much fun. I love Guam. I love its people because there's a passion for not just football, but for life. And when that comes over into football, you see the guys out there like the chairman of the board. This guy's what, in his 40s maybe?
Yeah, Ryan Rios, about like 44 now.
Yeah, but he's out there getting it in, man. I got hit by him. Trust me, he's not a fake guy.
I think I called a couple of those
Yes,
guys.
he will knock you in the next week. But you know what? It's that competitive nature after the game. There's nothing better. And I've coached all over the world, literally Oklahoma, Virginia, Washington State, Japan. But I've never seen the kind of sense of community. Rios knocked me out almost, and afterwards invited me over to a fiesta. So that's only on Guam, man. OOG, man.
Well, Ryan Rios, of course, the only 7-time most valuable player, defensive player of the MFL. Now, there's a video going around on Facebook right now, of course, from your Guam High Panthers, and it actually shows your pregame ceremony and this little ritual that you've got developed where a lot of football coaches, they're very businesslike, and they corral in their players prior to the game. They all run out and the crowd's all hype. And then they kind of, they may say a prayer, or, they have a few quiet moments with them and said, guys, let's go out, let's take care of business. You actually get your team incredibly pumped up, and you get the adrenaline rushing, and you really get your team psyched up for the game. Explain to me how that came about and how your approach to getting your guys ready.
Again, it's about igniting that passion in your heart. for me, if we're going to go out, not literally at war, but in a hard-fought contest, I want to make sure that my guys understand that you have to be pumped up. It's not a thing where we're riding off of emotion, but there's a heart of a competitor that I want to make sure you have. I have tough practice, because if you're going to quit, I want you to quit in practice, not in the game. And so right before, I remind them very vividly and very sternly what we're here to do. And so, you know, we play teams, and with us only having 400 people in our school at Guam High, we only have 30 players. And I dubbed them a couple of years ago when we won the championship, the Dirty 30. And so you got to be willing to do it all. You know, play both sides of the ball. I don't want to hear you complaining. We're all hot. Let's go. All
right, so last question before we go to commercial break. Describe for me the difference of how it feels to win as a player and then how it feels to win as a coach.
As a player, it's a lot of fun. You're just excited to have won. As a coach, it's just another reason to take more medication. The stress of it, it's, and to all the coaches who are out there, you understand there are so many things that have to go right just to get the opportunity to get to the championship. And once you get there and you get to a point where you realize we may win this thing, you rely on their training and hope they make good choices in critical situations, because you can put them in the right spot, you can tell them exactly what to do, but it comes down to that player making a choice. And when it happens, it's great. When it doesn't, more medication.
Well, I guess we'll end on that, because there is a very fine line between exhilaration and relief. But the one thing that you cannot dispute is glory lasts forever. And Jake, thanks so much for everything you've done. A lot of young men have got to experience the glory of sports because of your teaching and your philosophy. So thank you.
I thank you so much. This year we're going pink for breast cancer awareness. We're trying to move it over into the MFL. And at Guam High we'll be doing it also. Breast cancer awareness is a worthy cause. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Jacob Dowdell from the Guam High Panthers. That is time out for this week, everybody. We will be right back after these messages.
Timeout with Jason Salas.